Welcome to the podcast Selling Real Estate with Kelly Cook, where we will discuss the latest and most relevant business strategies to help you do one thing extremely well: sell more homes. We'll discuss everything from business planning to lead generation and conversion to past client customer service and everything in between. Join us for authentic conversations and nuts and bolts takeaways you can implement into your business today. And now, Selling Real Estate with Kelly Cook.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Selling Real Estate with Kelly Cook. And Kelly is here with us today, of course. And Kelly, how's your day going? I see if you're watching on YouTube, Kelly is getting kind of a makeover done on his office. So, Kelly, switching up the studio a little bit. Give me a little bit of what your plans are for.
We're getting more serious with this, Elizabeth. All right, so we're going to switch up the look of it a little bit, right? The angles, and this is just, we're in the middle of doing it right now. Could be a couple weeks, who knows? But yeah, so looking forward to having a better looking setup overall, with some more things that are a little more, Phoenix-ish, Arizona-ish, and of course stuff personal to myself. But yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, awesome. And I mean, when you say we're getting a little bit more polished with this, we're kind of elevating your background, getting serious with your studio area. And I think that presentation is key within anything, right? You want to elevate your space so that people take you a little bit more seriously. All of that bleeds into our conversation today, which is how to up your price point. So for anybody listening, if you've been kind of stuck in a certain kind of house level of what the kinds of listings that you're taking. Today, we're going to talk about how to break out of that a little bit and get into some higher price point markets. So Kelly, let's get into it.
Yeah, so this is a good one because I think right now we're in a marketplace where it's tough, right? And you have a lot of cancellations, you have a lot of people testing the market. You're in this quandary, right, where you have homeowners that have a lot of equity for the most part. Now, obviously, if they purchased in the past 3 years, they might not have a ton, that's for sure. But most people didn't purchase, obviously, 3 years ago or less. Most people, when you speak of the odds, right, are going to be 4 years, 3 years, or more. And so a lot of people have equity in their houses. And if they are going through a tough time, they can still make their payment, but maybe they're going through a tough time, but their cash flow is a little tight. They're not just still desperate to just fire sell their house necessarily, right? Most people, that's true. So you have the situation where there's not the highest level of motivation from the home sellers, generally speaking. Yet you have demand from the buyer standpoint that is still fairly flat, right? There's people buying houses. People need to buy houses. There's always the D's, right? Divorce and debt payments and death and all the D's, right? That get people to move. But you still have a situation where demand overall is still a little flat. I think people are under the understanding that, rates aren't going to go crazy low anytime soon. And they were coming down below the sixes, right at 6, and now they spiked back up because of the global, unrest, that sort of thing. But even if they come down a little bit more, again, we talked about this ad nauseum, right? It's probably still going to be around 6, maybe in the high 5s, which would be better than where we're at today, but not like 4%. Those days are probably quite a ways gone from today. That being said, this is a tough market. So if you're going to do less deals, which I don't know about you guys, but most agents right now are experiencing unit counts, deals being a little bit less than they have been in the last prior years. We're experiencing that too as well. Now, there's some people who are not, because you have niches and you have certain things going on, which is great. But for us and most agents, your unit count's going to be down a little bit. So what if you can make the same amount of money while still doing 10%, 5%, 15, 20% less transactions over the course of a year? You can. That's the good news about real estate. You can, but you have to do something with your price point. And then you have to be able to defend your value proposition to a seller to make them want to continue to pay the same rate you would charge somebody who's maybe several $100,000 less on their price point of their house when you sell it. So there's all these things that go into it. Now, one thing I would make sure that you do is be very aware of your proximity. I think that's the fastest way that you can increase your price point. Proximity. Now, does that mean you have to live in a certain neighborhood? No, You could actually live outside of that. But then if that's the case, I would be sure to do everything I can to do business and show up in that neighborhood, that area. Go to the same coffee shop, be present there. You can have a sticker of your brokerage on the back of your laptop. You can have a couple of messy business cards laying out on the table next to a couple pens and things that is that they just kind of spilled out of your bag, so to speak. So it's not like blatantly obvious, but people know what you do if they are paying attention to you at all. And if you show up consistently over time, that will happen. You can do door knocking. You can do open houses. If you don't have a listing in that neighborhood you want to work, or that area you want to work, or that price point you want to work, guess what? Someone at your brokerage probably does, especially if you're at a brokerage that is a large brokerage, or, just a large brokerage for your area that has a lot of agents. Somebody there will have a listing. Now, if you don't have anyone in your brokerage that has a listing at a higher price point, you can actually go to other brokerages as well and ask those agents. Some people have policies, they won't do that, but some people don't. But how bad do you want it? So these are the things that I'd be looking to do. I'd be looking to show up consistently and work in that area if I didn't live there. I'd be looking to do open houses and knock on some doors if I work the area. But Kelly, I have to knock on doors for a luxury homeowner in that neighborhood. They'll think I'm whatever. Yeah, you do. You should. It depends on how you do it. Now, do you just go up and down the row every day? Probably not. You could, but that probably would be the smartest thing, most efficient thing. What I would do instead is have a reason to door knock. And there's no better reason than to be hosting an open house. And I'm even talking the opposite of what you're probably thinking. Most people will say door knock to invite these neighbors to the open house. That's not bad. That's a good thing. But what I like to do is door knock after the open house, and then just do a simple 10 to the left, 10 to the right, 10 across the street. Now, will it be the exact 10 properties to the left, right, etc.? No, because let's say you're holding an open house that's a single story. Then what you want to do, and you want to go off the stories as opposed to the garages. You could do both. But the chances are you're not going to have to the right 10 homes that are all two-story, which is the opposite of your open house, which is a single story. So you might have to keep going down the road a little bit, but those are the best ways. And we talked about this door knocking script before in the past. Listen to that episode.
Yeah, we have a whole series on open houses.
Yeah, and even door knocking, we do. And the script to use when you're there, which is very organic, very real, and it's genuine. And you have somebody looking to move into the neighborhood, right? So anyways, that's what I would do. And then I would show up in the area. Proximity is king. Now, let me say this too. There is always a level of sacrifice in any endeavor that's worthwhile at all. There's always gonna be a level of sacrifice. And if you're not willing to sacrifice at all, then you should probably not be in sales. You should definitely not be in a 1099 position. That's for sure. And even if you have ambitions in your W-2, that's totally cool. But those ambitions take some sacrifice too. Okay. So I think that's the first thing you need to understand right now, and just get it out of your head. There's this quote that we have on our wall in the back of my office, and it's by Gary Keller. You know what it says? It says, you have to make peace with the daily repetitious boredom until you can attach it to the outcome of success. That says, in Portuguese, that equals sacrifice. That's what he's talking about, right? Okay. So that being said, it's no different than like if you were going to, I said this on a podcast the other day, if you were going to invest, if you want to be an investor, I want to invest in properties. And okay, great. Do you own your own house yet? No, I don't. Well, you might want to start there. Why? I'm 20-some years old, and man, prices are expensive. How am I ever going to get into that game of home ownership? Well, one way you could do it is through sacrifice, is by possibly house hacking. You go live in an area, a town that you really don't want to be in. Let's make sure it's still safe, right? And we're not saying it's unsafe, but it's an area you don't want to be in because it's not where you want to conduct your daily business in your life. Cool. You might have to drive and be inconvenient for you for a period of time, but that's called sacrifice. You go to area, prices are cheaper. You're able to buy something. Maybe it's a duplex or a triplex. You live in one of the units because you need a place to live, and you rent out the other two to help pay for that mortgage. And that's how you get in the game. And over a period of time, equity grows. And then you're able to maybe sell that house and roll it into another one that's a little bit bigger, nicer, in a place you want to be in. And then if I'm going to be in the luxury home market, I want to be in an area. I want to ideally live there at some point as soon as I possibly can. So get into the area, buy the cheapest house, buy a condo in that area. No one's going to ask you, oh, what address are, oh my goodness, your house is not 5,000 square feet. It's only 2,000 square feet. Yes. No one's going to ask you that, but you live in the area. My address, I live right on the street. Oh, you do? Wow. Okay. Oh, all right. So These are things that you can do to try to up your price point. So I would talk about proximity. I would talk about you have to host open houses consistently. Find them. They're out there. They don't have to be your listing. And then you need to have a door knocking strategy around it. There's no better excuse to do it. These are all very inexpensive things to do. You're talking, flyers that need to be nice looking. So maybe some extra money on card stock and that sort of thing, glossy, whatever, for the leave behind pieces when you do this. But it's very inexpensive as opposed to, a very expensive farming campaign or a very expensive mailer campaign or doing doing video mailers like this. If you're watching on YouTube, we do this. Okay. These are video mailers. All right. And we mail these out to people and you open this thing up. It's different. And a video starts playing about what, a preloaded video. Okay. And then on the back, we have our YouTube that are for luxury properties, that cinematic lifestyle videos that we do. You can do some, but that's expensive. These are very expensive. Okay. Work your way up. But these are all things that you can do to increase your price point. And it starts by you having a plan. And it starts by you having an understanding of a level of sacrifice that you're going to have to do and show up consistently. It's no different than you show up consistently to lead generate, making expire calls every day. And you could do that too, by the way. You can set your minimum price point for the data you pull at a certain number, $1 million and up, or whatever. There's gonna be less of them, but you can do that. These are all things you can layer on, but you have to show up consistently no matter what you choose to do. But those are about 3 to 4 really good points of things that you could start implementing today in your business.
I think the bottom line with that is whatever kind of strategy you take, and like Kelly said, if you're following that, but it really comes down to if you want to work in more luxury markets, you need to meet more people that own luxury homes, right? And a really easy way to do that is to be, like Kelly said, be in that area, door knock, hold open houses, immerse yourself into the daily goings on of the people that live in the areas and the price points that you want to work.
Yeah, and I'll say one more thing: dress, attire. It's now like it's cool nowadays to not dress up, right? That's kind of thing nowadays with the younger generation and stuff. Which whatever you do, I'm not saying it's bad or good necessarily, but I will say one thing as a general rule of thumb: always dress one level higher than what the people you are trying to do business with expect. So
Which
if
puts us all the way back around with Kelly's kind of redoing his office, right? Presentation
Yes.
is important in these circumstances as well. So,
Yep.
Okay. Well, if anybody has any questions over these strategies or anything else we've talked about here on this podcast, Kelly, where can they reach you?
Yeah, Instagram, guys, hit me up there at Kelly Cook Homes. Shoot me a DM, give me a follow. I'd love to hear from you.
All right, everybody. We will see you next week. Bye, Kelly.
See you, Elizabeth.